Parliament, just for us to have a little bit of an understanding. But yes, instead of Mr., I should call you now Honorable Tapa, but you're very welcome. Honorable members, you have now met our new member. Then let me also give a special wish of good recovery to Honorable Philip van Staden, been serving with us for 3 years. We wish you well and we're very happy that you had a successful operation, Honorable van Staden. I really wanted to use this opportunity to just wish you and your family well, as you say, your recovery path. Thank you very much for attending this morning.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and colleagues, and thank you for all the messages I've received this past week. Sorry for not switching on my camera, but I think you will understand the reason why. Yeah, I'm starting to feeling better by the day, and hopefully by the end of next week we will be as 100% as can be. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and colleagues.
Very welcome to the started. I think you're much loved by all of us, so we would obviously just shower you with messages of support. Honorable members, the next part is the purpose of our meeting. We are here to consider and adopt the motion of the desirability of the NHI Bill. Then secondly, to consider and adopt minutes of the 20th of April and the 4th of May 2022. And then we have some announcements towards the end. I see that Honorable Sedwa has also joined, so just noted to be present. That's Mark Lamba. You're very welcome to this meeting, Honorable Sedwa, this morning. Honorable members, before we proceed, I'd like to remind you that this virtual meeting is being
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to members.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sedwa. Before we proceed, I'd like to remind you that this virtual meeting is deemed to be the precinct of Parliament and therefore constitutes the meeting of a committee of the National Assembly for official purposes only. In addition to the rules of virtual sittings, the rules of the National Assembly, including the rules of debate, apply. Members enjoy the same powers and privileges that apply in a sitting of the National Assembly. Members should equally note that anything said in the virtual platform is deemed as said to the House may be ruled upon. All members who have logged in shall be considered to be present and are requested to mute their microphones and only unmute when recognized the screen. This is because the microphones are very sensitive and will pick up noise and might disturb the attention of other members. When recognized to speak, please unmute your microphone and connect your video. Members may make use of the icons on the bar at the bottom of their screens, which has an option that allows the member to put up his hand to raise points of order. The Secretariat will assist in alerting the chairperson to members requesting to speak. In using the virtual system, members are urged to refrain or desist from unnecessary points of order or interjections. We shall now continue with the business of the day from honorable members, and I'm going to ask Ms. Majalamba to just flight the motion as it was prepared, and then I will also then explain how we will be performing this task. So, honorable members, a motion has been developed. I will read through the motion on as it is, or I'm going to flight it. I'm sorry. I think it is already. Let me just share my screen. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm going to flight it. Do all of you see that motion on your screens?
Sorry, Chair.
Yes?
I think there's a problem with your volume. Can you try and raise it a little bit? Thank you, Chair. It's
all right. Is that better now?
really.
Pardon? So, honorable members, I'll pull my laptop a bit closer. I hope you can hear me better now.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I will read through this motion, and at the end of this motion, honorable members, I will ask Ms. Lamba to read through the list of the members who are eligible to vote in the portfolio committee on health to state whether they support or not support this motion that we are bringing here today. So the motion is in front of us. I'm going to start reading it and we will proceed from there onwards. You will see the emblem of the parliament, and then it's an official document, committee section. It is as a heading called Report of the Portfolio Committee on Health on the National Health Insurance Bill of B11 of 2019, dated 18th of May 2022. Honorable Sukers, would you allow me to just complete reading this motion before I give you an opportunity, so that at least I would have read this, completed the reading of this. The Portfolio Committee on Health, having considered the National Health Insurance Bill, and again the B11 of 2019, National Assembly Section 76, referred to it and classified by the joint tagging mechanism as a Section 76 bill reports as follows. The National Health Insurance was tabled in Parliament and referred to the committee on 8 August 2019. The National Health Insurance Bill seeks to provide for universal access to healthcare services in the Republic in accordance with the Constitution of South Africa 1996. The NHI Bill envisages the establishment of a National Health Insurance Fund and sets out its powers, functions, and governance structures. The NHI Fund will purchase healthcare services for all users who are registered with the fund. The NHI Bill will also create mechanisms for the equitable, effective, and efficient utilization of the resources of the NHI Fund to meet the health needs of users and preclude or limit undesirable, unethical, and unlawful practice in relation to the fund. The NHI Bill also seeks to address barriers to access. The committee received its first briefing on the NHI Bill from the Department of Health on 29 August 2019. On 4 March 2020, the committee received a briefing from the Department of Health on the NHI pilot district for the evaluation of phase 1 implementation of intervention. In facilitating effective public participation on the NHI Bill, the committee concluded nationwide, in-person public hearings in all 9 provinces from 26 October 2019 to 24 February 2020. The public hearings were attended by 11,564 members of the public and various stakeholders across 33 district municipalities. A total of 961 oral submissions were heard by the committee during these hearings. Additionally, the committee conducted virtual public hearings from 18 May 2021 to 23 February 2022. The committee received oral submissions from individuals and various groups such as professional associations, civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, researchers, lobbying groups, academics, traditional leaders, public health entities, statutory bodies, government departments, sector experts, healthcare funds, medical aid schemes, healthcare administrators, hospital groups, political organizations, labor unions, and other interested stakeholders. In addition to the provincial and virtual public hearings, the committee received approximately 338,891 written submissions from the public. The written submissions were submitted electronically, via email, and in hard text. The Department of Health responded to the issues raised during the public hearings on the 29th March of 2022. The National Assembly Rule 2864, Roman 1 requires that the committee after due deliberation must consider a motion of desirability on the subject matter of the bill, and if rejected, must immediately table the bill and its report on the bill. Based on all the input received and engagements on the NHI bill, a motion of desirability on the subject matter is placed before the committee as required by National Assembly Rule 2864, Roman 1 to vote on. Honorable Sippers, I'm going to take your hand down.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. No, it is just, Chair, to ask. I know that as an alternate, I do not have voting power in the committee, but I would love to be heard as well once the voting has commenced or started.
Thank you very much. Honorable Van Staden.
Thank you. Sorry, Chairperson. For me, I have to raise my hands also. I just also would like to make you aware that after the decision that I will put forward on this, I would also ask you to allow Honorable Naledi Chirwa also to engage on some matters based on the NHI bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Van Staden. I'm taking the hands as I see them on the platform in front of me, honorable members. So I'm taking them in that order as I see them. Honorable Van Staden.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Before we go on, just on point number 7, about the 338,000 written submissions which was received from the public. I think I've asked in February in this committee, and I can't remember if I have received the answer. And the question on this stage is, how are we as members of this portfolio committee going to have access to those submissions that was handed in at Parliament on email and hard copies? And did we get any indication how many were for or against the bill? And I've asked also a question on that day on the what happened to the written submissions when with a fire in Parliament. I think we just need some clarity on that matter, please. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chirwa.
Thank you, Chairperson. Dr. Sue, Honorable Dr. Sue has already addressed what I wanted to raise. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My hand is up, Chair.
Honorable Munyai and then Honorable Wilson.
And myself, Chair.
And Honorable Ismail.
It's Honorable Munyai that must speak, Chair.
Yes, it's you.
Honorable Chair, you put a very clear guidance on what needs to happen forward. You said after you presented this bill, our Secretary of Parliament or Portfolio Committee must be able to clarify who is eligible to vote in this committee. And that has not yet been clarified. I'll appreciate that also happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. We're not quite sure what the procedures are that are being followed now. Obviously we have a whole lot of people who want to comment before the voting takes place. So if you can just put us into a list so we know, because I obviously would also like to say something, Chair. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Honorable Members. I have all of your inputs now. Who did I miss?
The Chair, I've been covered.
Yes, you covered, Honorable Isma?
Yes, I just wanted to say, please allow me a comment, although I can't vote. Thank you.
You're right, you're welcome. Honorable Isma?
No, Chair, I was saying if you would allow me a comment, maybe after the voting takes place and everybody.
Thank you. All right. So, honorable members, what we are doing today is that we only voting on this motion of desirability of the bill. what it will do is one of two things. If we vote that the motion, the bill is not desirable, then we would have to go back to the National Assembly. We have to have an absolute good record of what has transpired, and then we would have to indicate to the National Assembly that the committee has decided that this bill is not desirable. Should the committee today vote in favor of the desirability of this bill, then we go to the next step, which is all of the documentation which you're requesting, all of the reports which have been written, and the bill itself will be forwarded to all of you. Not all of these inputs, you are welcome to be able to access these documents through our committee secretary, who will make arrangements for you, because then the next process will start, and that process is the clause by clause deliberations on the bill. So we will sit. I would ask that our first meeting, we are attempting to do that, to have the very first meeting of the deliberations on clause by clause on the bill. And that would be a physical meeting, so that we're also able to see each other after a long time, but that we're able to start this process in a particular manner. That is the next thing that will happen after this. We are then going to sit as a committee, take the first clause. I will read the first clause. You will raise your hands as you have just done, and we will then go through the clause and listen to all of the inputs of all of the members on that clause as a clause by clause. This motion, this work that we are doing today is purely one of the processes which will take us to an understanding of what we do next with this bill. So it's one of the standard procedures of Parliament. For today, it does not allow the discussion before we do this actual voting. We will go straight to the voting, and then after that, if you still want to raise comments, you're very welcome. For example, the comment of Honorable Van Staden again about the fire and how the submissions were influenced, etc. Those things we can raise afterwards. I would like to, with your understanding now, go to the next part of our work, and that is to ask Ms. Majalamba to mention which members have voting rights, and then secondly to call the members one by one, and the members would purely say, yes, I am in favor, or no, I am not in favor. Or yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree. And then we take the next processes as we go along. Thank you, honorable members. I hope you do understand. Ms. Majalamba.
Thank you, Chair. I will start with you, Chair. Are you voting in favor of the motion of motion of desirability, or you're rejecting the motion?
In favor, honorable Ms. Majalamba.
Mr. Munyai?
I vote in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Munyai. Ms. Keller?
I'm in favor. Ndiyayixhasa sisi, ndiyayisapota abantu bakuthi mabafumane ezempilo ezifana nezabanye abantu, silingane sonke.
Thank you.
Ndiyayixhasa mntase. I fully support the motion.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. Dr. Harvard?
Thank you. I'm voting favor. Thank you.
Mr. Siwela?
Thank you, Ms. Majalamba. I vote in favor.
Thank you, Mr. Siwela. Mr. Kaba?
Thank you, Chair. I vote in favor of the bill. I agree with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kaba. Ms. Clark?
Thank you very much. I totally reject this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Wilson?
Thank you very much. Absolutely reject this with the content it deserves.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Dr. Tembekwayo?
Thank you. I totally reject the desirability of the National Health Insurance Bill at its present form. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tembe. Kwayo, Ms. Hlengwa. Mam Hlengwa.
Thank you, Chairperson. I vote in favor of the motion of the desirable of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama. Mr. Van Staden.
Honorable Chairperson, please let it be minuted that the Freedom Front Plus is not in support of a consideration and adoption of a motion of desirability on the National Health Insurance Bill, and the Freedom Front Plus reject the NHI bill in its entirety. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. We are done with the voting. I'll count the members who were in favor.
Sorry, Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Sekema.
I believe I have voting rights. I'm not an alternate member on this committee.
Yes, you are, Mr. Imam Sheikh.
Okay, thank you. I am in support of this bill. Thank you.
No, you are an alternate. Sorry about that.
I don't know where that comes from, Chairperson. I'm not okay. Let us not argue about it now. But my understanding is I'm a full member on this committee. It's the first time I know that I'm actually an alternate. Thank you.
Thank you for understanding, but please follow it up so that we can know for future purposes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. 7 members have voted in favor of the bill, and 4 members have rejected. They are not in support of the bill or the motion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, members, for this process that you all participated. You heard the outcome. 7 members in favor of this motion of desirability of the bill, and 4 members not in favor of it. So this motion is therefore adopted and agreed to as the committee being in favor of this motion of the desirability of the bill. Thank you very much. Now, there were members who wanted to still raise some points after we had concluded the voting. I will now listen to those members, Honorable Suker, Honorable Ismail, and Honorable Van Staden as noted. And Honorable Tembakwaya, I didn't hear properly what you were saying. If you wouldn't mind.
Honorable Chirwa, Chairperson.
It's Honorable Chira.
Honorable Chirwa, if you could maybe just repeat that.
Honorable Munyai to Chair.
Honorable Munyai. So now I must try and keep the order. I can.
And clerk, my hand is up, Chair.
So,
clerk as well.
What I will do on this virtual platform and make it easier for me now. If you don't mind, the order is not the same as I just said. I will go according
Excuse me, Chairperson.
Yes.
Chairperson, the permanent members had an opportunity to vote either in favor or reject. Can we please give the alternate members a chance to speak? It just exclude us from this further discussion, please.
Sorry, I object, Chair. I don't want to be turned away from
Chairperson, I think we
give
also
the
have the
alternate
right.
members the chance to do the.
I think we have a right also to speak in this portfolio committee, no matter
But
that
we have spoken. We have spoken.
Yes,
Our
yes,
view
but
has been
us
recorded.
also spoke.
Honorable members, thank you very much.
Please, Chairperson, rule on this. I think it's fair enough. Give the alternate. We have done it. We have said on behalf of our political parties, we have done that.
I agree wholeheartedly with you because there is a process after this, as I had explained. So I will give the members who are alternate members, I will only give them an opportunity, and then we will go to the minutes of the other meetings for consideration and adoption, and we will have a lot of time together to discuss on what we are planning on doing in the future with this book. Thank you very much for that insightful comment, Honorable Dr. Tsepakwai. Honorable Supers.
Thank you very much, Chair. Appreciate it. Chair, in given the fact that we do not have the status of a voting member on the committee, we want to record our total rejection of this bill. The state lacks the institutional capacity to procure in a transparent and strategically effective fashion, as was highlighted throughout the COVID crisis. This was evidenced by the late procurement of vaccines, no consideration being given to procurement of ethically derived vaccines, and the department ignoring legitimate concerns. The lack of attention to therapeutics such as Paxlovid and Molnupiravir in pursuit of a vaccinate, and the debacle of the missing no-fault vaccine injury fund, of which I have put 2 letters to you, Chair, which I and this committee are seeking for in vain. These incapacities have led to an unprecedented distrust in this department, and this is evidenced by the over 200,000 comments on the health regulations. The last time I checked with advocacy groups, it was 300,000. So added to this is the corruption that is the consequence of an incapable state. And secondly, the inflationary impact of the bill in a post-COVID environment had not been calculated. We cannot further burden the taxpayer at this time, and certainly cannot do so to funnel this money into a department synonymous with corruption, where the previous minister himself had to step down because of corruption. The prerequisite for the NHI is the transparent reform of the department and provincial departments under the scrutiny and control of our communities. That is the prerequisite, Chair. Is that the communities themselves need to have control.
Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair. May I?
Yes, Chair, I was interrupted. I'm not sure if Honorable Munya had a problem with what I had said, but I just wanted to end off my comment.
Honorable members, we have a particular process to do. We have just completed that process. This is, and we even read the rule, the National Assembly rule which applies. We have completed that process. There's another process to follow where we're going to have endless deliberation on the bill, clause by clause. I am not here. I wouldn't want to allow anybody to be provoked by anything that is said now. We are just in the interest of fairness, allowing the members who are alternate members to say a few things, and not as long as Honorable Supers has just done. So that when we go to the next steps, you will in any case be, I think, will be participating in the rest of the work of the portfolio committee as we proceed from next week onwards. Can you please accept my ruling? And I agreed with Honorable Tsepakwai that I will only allow these members who were not eligible to vote. Can we go to Honorable Ismail now, please?
Thank you, Chair. I'll try to be as short as possible. So I feel that I personally and the DA rejects the bill in its totality because the bill will not reach its intended objectives and is not compliant with key constitutional principles or rights. I will reserve all my other inputs for later when we go through each clause, Chair, but I think that was important to be said that, we totally object to the bill in its entirety. Thank you.
Is there any other member who is an alternate member? At the moment, you were mentioned to be an alternate member. Honorable Sheikh Imam, would you want to say something?
And Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable Chirwa, you are a member. What I did ask you is maybe to repeat what you said, Honorable Dr. Tsepakwai had said on your behalf. I didn't hear that fully. That's all that I asked you to do. So yes, I will allow you to do that. You'll be the last one, and then we will move on, honorable members. We will come to the rest of the bill today. You have to be patient with this process. So Sheikh Imam, I'm giving you an opportunity. If you were recognized to be an alternate member. I don't think Honorable Sheikh Imam is here anymore. Honorable Chairman.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, for this particular opportunity that you're giving to us, alternate members. Just to, expand on the position of the EFF to reject the NHI bill is that it's currently in its current format. It's presented under the guise of achieving universal healthcare coverage that isn't mired with the separation of quality between the public and private healthcare sectors. However, as the EFF, we have the position that the NHI bill primarily seeks to enrich the privately owned healthcare sector at the compromise of our people. In contrary to popular belief and how the country is being misled currently, it is a just disingenuous attempt at dealing with our collapsed healthcare system. The NHI will not resolve the crisis of infrastructure and public facilities in rural and township areas. Over and above, it will merely open the gates of private hospitals at a high cost, tangibly meaning that the government of the day intends to outsource its duty to provide healthcare to the private sector. This will result in a permanent access by the private sector into the covers contributed to by our people, with no evident transformation of the healthcare system to the benefit of the poor. Our people in rural, informal settlements and township areas will still be exposed to the current rot of public healthcare facilities. As with the NHI referral system stipulated in the bill, one has to go to the nearest healthcare facility for medical intervention. This will effectively mean that the NHI stands to benefit only those in cosmopolitan and urban areas, people who already afford their own healthcare through medical aids, whilst the poor continue utilizing the debilitated facilities in redundant and abandoned areas and provinces. Persons living in remote parts of the rural provinces with low print of private healthcare facilities will still be required to travel for hours on end to access healthcare facilities that is capacitated enough. The NHI is not for the poor, it is for the rich and those in cosmopolitan areas, and for those who acquire profits in the private healthcare sector. And over and above that, Chairperson, our healthcare system that depends on the private sector to make decisions of integrity when it pertains to money and health is doomed from the start. Persons who utilize private healthcare have heaps of evidence to prove that priority in these institutions of healthcare is profit and not primarily healthcare. In the current form, the private sector spends about 250 billion rand to cater for the needs of 10% of the population, equal or almost equal to the amount of money spent on the public sector that caters for 80% of the population. The NHI again fails to outline the possibilities of pooling adequate funds for this purpose, as what is currently spent will need to be exponentially increased to the benefit of the private sector and not achieving universal healthcare coverage. Bearing in mind that this particular cost hardly centers the poor in rural, informal, and township areas. The EFF, Chairperson, lastly, supports the pooling of funds for the purpose of directing those funds into the betterment of infrastructure, attainment of medical equipment, as maintenance and sustenance of vital equipment remains a challenge to date in public facilities. And lastly, the EFF supports the pooling of funds for the intention of ensuring that more hospitals and clinics are built that open and function for 24 hours and 7 days a week in rural, township, and informal settlements, that primary healthcare, prevention, and education are primarily and evidently become the pillars of our healthcare system. The NHI sadly doesn't offer the benefits of universal healthcare coverage for the poor, and is in fact an extension to accessing funds meant to cater for our health needs to the pockets of private owners of healthcare facilities. And for this reason, the EFF rejects it in its current format. Thank you, Chairperson.
Great.
Honorable members, what just happened was not really what was intended, but it is now how it has played out. And I know you are now all provoked to say a lot, and it would be wrong of us to go down this road today. We had a particular purpose for this meeting. All of these talks which you are having now, you've been able to give a date. There are those who said they are in favor of this motion, and there are those who said they are against this motion. So I have not stifled anything put as you're putting, Honorable Ismail. I've allowed even the alternate members today, which was not intended to be an opportunity to say something. Please don't misconstrue what I am doing. I am now going to rule that there's no more talk on it. It is done and dusted. This part of it, You will have an opportunity. You will be informed of the next meeting timeously. You will have to go and look on the Himba and Faranani system to answer Honorable van Staden. You will find all the documents on those systems. And I had a talk with the committee secretary yesterday as to what we will forward. Those would be the 3 reports as we had developed on the 3 different provincial hearings on the oral submissions and on the written submissions. There are reports which we have written, which we will provide to you. You will also get another copy of the NHI bill, and you can then access the other documents, as I said earlier, through the Faranani system and through the Ubimba system and platform. Thank you very much, honorable members. I am not going to entertain anything else right now. Ms. Machalamba, can you please slide those minutes for me? Thank you.
Chairperson, before the minutes, I don't know whether you have seen the hands of Honorable Swela was also up.
Honorable Gela, it's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. I hope the honorable members understand what I am doing. Meeting today was booked 1 hour for this meeting. We are at 22 minutes to 12. The idea is not for us today to deliberate today on anything pertaining to the bill. If you wish, I will give each member 1 minute. We have not spoken, but I can promise you we are going to go down the wrong road today.
Chairperson, unfortunately, Honorable Siwela is one of the members that voted here on my list. He's not an alternate.
Yes. So, honorable members, I'm really pleading with you to understand the rationale of what we do. Thank you. Please lower all of your hands. I see so many hands are still raised. We will go to the minutes now. You will get all of the opportunity, honorable members. You have voted in favor, those who have. Those who have not have rejected. They will give all of the explanations at the time when it is required to do so. Thank you very much. So, honorable members, page 1, see that you're in attendance. Those are the minutes of the meeting of the Portfolio Committee on Health on the 20th of April 2022. Make sure that you are noted to be in attendance on the day, page 2. And please provide any inputs if you see something that is not correct or omitted. Page 3. Page 4. Thank you very much. Honorable members, can I ask for somebody to move, a member to move for adoption of this minutes? Honorable member?
Chairperson.
Honorable Gela?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I move for the approval of the minutes.
Thank you very much. Any seconder for the approval of the minutes? For the movement of the approval of the minutes?
I second it.
I support.
Thank you very much. Was that Honorable Siwela?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you very much for that. Next set of minutes of Ms. Machalamba. These are the minutes of the 4th of May of the Portfolio Committee on Health. You can have a look on the attendance, whether you've been noted to be present. Page 1. Page 2, this was the consideration and adoption of the committee's budget report, and also consideration and adoption of minutes. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Any mover for the adoption of these minutes?
I'll move, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Movement Staden. Any seconder to that movement?
I second, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Taylor. Honorable members, that concludes all the minutes we have for today. Ms. Machalamba, you can just remind me if I'm correct.
Yes, Chair, we only had 2 outstanding minutes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, the next part will be just one announcement. The announcement of the visit of the elders on the 25th of May, which is next week, Wednesday. We have actually had a meeting with them before. To give an indication, it's the former President of Ireland, the former Prime Minister of Norway, Ms. Grasha, Ms. Michelle, who is the former wife of our leader, Nelson Mandela, and also the former President of Chile. And then they have a small team that supports them. We had received this request a little while ago, but we had challenges with a few things. One is, you would know there's a formal rigid application system which we have to follow, and especially the committee secretary is obliged to follow the processes properly. And so we've had to go through that process. But apart from that, you would know after the burning of the parliament that we were struggling to find a suitable place to have such a meeting take place. And then thirdly, the committee rules were still being challenges with regards to streaming of meetings. So even in the case of the request of Honorable Wilson, would ask for meetings to be held physically. We have been working on that for the past 4 weeks, with Machalamba and myself, and with the team, ICT of Parliament, etc., to get those rooms into a suitable condition for live streaming and for video recording, etc., of physical meetings. But so what we do have is a meeting, and we have agreement from the presiding officers of Parliament to a meeting in the special boardroom at the Taj Hotel on next week, Wednesday at 6 o'clock. The physical meeting, I really hope that the honourable members would avail themselves for this meeting, and that's the closest that we could come to start this process of going to actual physical meetings, especially meetings for the deliberations on the clause by clause in the bill, so that my thoughts would be that it might be a bit more difficult to have these meetings only virtually on those deliberations. So we're going to make this attempt and see whether we can actually start moving some of our meetings at least to physical meetings where we attend in person. So the announcement is, honourable members, next week, Wednesday, we will have this meeting with the elders who will be addressing us on their understanding of health systems. They come with a lot of experience. I think it would be a good opportunity for us to get to understand how things work in other countries. And I hope you'll be able to attend. And that's the only announcement which I have. Ms. Machalamba, is there anything that I left out? You will have to.
Chair.
Yes, and you
No,
will.
Chair, there's nothing else.
Yes. The only thing I left out, thank you, Ms. Machalamba. The only thing I left out is the committee will not be responsible for costs, etc., in terms of the our flights. Will use our normal work flights which we use to come to Parliament. So, and you will receive correspondence from here after this on the process. Thank you. On the actual. Honourable Clerk, I see your hand is raised. I think that's a legacy hand of Honourable Supers because it never went off the system. Honourable Supers, can just first inform me before I allow Honourable Clerk.
Sorry, Chair, just to ask that we get all this in writing because I'm really battling to hear you today. The sound is really not great and I wasn't sure what time Wednesday. I think you said 6, is it 6 in the morning or 6 in the evening? Thank you, Chair. I'm really battling with the sound today.
Oh, all right. It must be on my side then. I don't know exactly what it is. I'll now move my laptop even closer. You will get it in writing and it will be 6 in the evening. At the, yeah, you will receive it in writing at the chartered job.
Sorry, Chair. Sorry, Chair. The meeting will start at 5:30 or next week, Wednesday. Yes, Chair.
Thank you. 5:30 of her, that's 17:30, honorable members. I think that has brought us to the end of our meeting for today. We have no other announcements for today. Thank you very much to those who sent me emails. I do read your emails. I communicate with you on the emails. I know there's one email outstanding that I must respond to, but it is as I'm applying the questions which were asked by Honorable Ismail. But for the rest, I think we've responded to all of the requests, and we will be having another session at some stage where we will be looking at all the outstanding matters of the portfolio committee. I hope you do understand that, Thank you very much. That comes to the end of our meeting. Our meeting is now closed.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Recording stopped.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.